to make profits, and there are major two ways you can make profits from your property which you may invest in. And one is either to give it out as rental, or you sell to other intending purchasers. Those are the two ways you make profits. That's to meet that same goal of making profit. No one goes in there to remain stagnant. Maybe you are making 1 million on a particular property for the past 10 years. You want to continue to make just 1 million in the next 15 years. That is not the case. We always seek ways to make that same property to bring us more profits than we had the previous year. So those are the things we'll be looking at today. So the first one we have there is to build for the future. Build your property, develop that property that you just acquired, or the one you already have. You want to start building on a bare land which you have purchased. Build for the future. That's the first thing you have to do. Now, how do you build for the future? When you are building any particular property, always have it in mind that, okay, I may not always be in this particular property, especially for those who have built their house for family use. If you have developed a particular property as your family house, know that you may have another property that you need to move into tomorrow. If you have designed this particular house that you are in at the moment in such a way that only you can live in that house, it means when you move from that house to another one, it will be difficult for someone to move in. Now, some persons built their house in such a way that it meets their taste. But when you want to move from that house tomorrow, let's say you want to give it out for rental, there may be no one who can afford it. For those who have a very luxurious apartment, the house will be so big that when you want to give it out, persons will find it difficult to even meet up with the rent. Let's say you spend billions of naira just to develop a property, and you had the most expensive items, fixtures on that particular property. Now you want to give it out to other persons as rent, that you no longer need the property, either for one reason or the other. You want to live a very cool life that persons are not easily going to see you. You want to move from the public space, and you want to move into a secluded area. But this is your property that you have developed to your taste. No one can easily move in, because if you want to give it out, you are going to require that whoever is coming in should pay certain rent to meet with the investment that you have made in that particular property. And once that is the case, no one can afford the rent. There is no way you can recover whatever investment you have made. So you must build. When you are building, okay, what if I am leaving this house in the next 10 years? Is it possible for someone to move in and fit in easily? Or will it require that I bring down the full structure before someone else can move in, to develop it from ground zero before anyone can be able to use that particular land again? So you must ensure that you build for the future. Another challenge that people have is they build a house in such a way that, let's say duplexes, those who built duplexes in let's say a few years ago, now they built that because they had, let's say, 5 children or 4 children. Everyone should have a room to himself. Now all the children are grown. You are alone with your partner in that particular house, and you feel that, okay, I will need some persons to come and be part of this house because this place is becoming boring. You need persons around you. How do you bring in those persons without them invading your privacy, and you too in turn invading their own privacy? Because most times the way these properties are structured is such that everyone is connected to meet in one particular place, and there is usually one entrance in such houses. Now, if you don't want to make that particular property available to other persons, it means you have to make another investment in order to partition that building to accommodate some other persons to come into that property. That will cost you another amount. So when you are developing a property, always have that avenue that, okay, what if I am moving out? What if I want to give, this house has 4 rooms. What if I want to give out 2? I just want to live in 1 room and my sitting room, just that. How can you do that when you don't envisage all of these things? during the time of developing that property. So that's why we are encouraging today that when you are building, build for the future. There are some others too, the way they built their house to even do renovation in that particular property will cost as much as even developing similar properties somewhere else because of how it was built. So when you are building, ensure that you get experts and they can tell you, okay, when we are going to make adjustment to this property in the future, it can easily be done without costing us a fortune. That's what you need to do. There are persons, so many houses today that are no longer being inhabited by the owners, but they can't give it out. Even the children may not be within the country, they can't give it out because no one can afford it. If you even want to sell, because of the value that you have, the sum that you expended in developing the property, you may not easily find buyers to purchase the property. That is another challenge you will want to avoid by envisaging what else that can come up in the near future. So you must build for the future when you are building your property. Another one you can also look at on that tip that we are giving you today is to develop for tenant use. It's just related to what I have stated earlier. When you are developing a property, just envisage that I am going to give this property out for other persons' use. Now, there are also property developers who develop property. They are not developing it for their own use, but for tenants. Now, you must realize that different persons have a different taste. So you cannot use your taste to generalize what other persons are going to like. So you must ensure that you have that that sense of individual differences in making your own property development. So when you are developing a property for tenants, okay, what if this person is from this social background? Can this person fit in? What if this person is from this economic background? Can this person fit in? So when you are developing a property, you must ensure that the property is all embracing. If this person is from social class, it can fit in. From social cultural background, economic background, all of that, they can fit in easily. That can make your property more profitable. It will not be good that you invested so much in a property with anticipation that within the next 10 years I will recoup whatever I have invested, but in the long run you are unable to even get half of what you have invested because of the way you developed that property. Your idea was that tenants are going to make use of the property, but certain things that you have put in the property or the way you structured them has made it a bit difficult for people to move into that property. Another thing you also need to note that is that persons who may have different tastes also have what they can afford. You shouldn't place high premium in property and you expect persons to move in easily. So you must also do market survey before you are fixing a price on any property that you are giving out for rent. The third one will also quickly give you on the tips to make your property more profitable is renovation of existing property. You should also understand that houses that you have today, in the next 5-10 years, their value will depreciate. And for you to make that value to increase, although it is said that land always appreciates every minute of the day, the value of land is appreciating. That may not be the case where you have a property that is developed. You must ensure that you renovate the property to meet modern needs. You renovate the property to meet modern needs. Okay, you want to increase the rent on the property you have. Last year you collected 1 million naira as rent. Last 2 years you collected 1 million naira as rent. Last 3 years you collected 700,000, and this year you want to collect 1.5 million. You must let the tenants see the value that you have added to the property, the value they are going to enjoy by paying that 1.5 million naira that you now want them to pay. It will not be fair to them that, okay, you want them to pay 1.5 million. The same thing that they had 5 years ago is the same thing they have up to this moment. The part of the building that needs to be fixed, you have not done any of that. They have complained to you that, okay, this particular part of the roof is leaking. It took you 7 months to just fix it, and they have had to endure that. If that is the case, it may be very difficult for you to get persons to pay the rent that you want them to pay. So for you to get persons to pay that particular rent that you want them to pay, you must give extra value to that property. One way you can do that is add some new features. If a particular part is damaged, fix it very quickly. Don't wait for the tenant to start writing letters upon letters to you or to your agents before you fix that property that they have been complaining about. Now, if you don't also handle them well while you are doing all of this, they may not want to pay that rent, and you have to start looking for ways to evict them from the property. Once you have renovated this property, even before you start renovation, you can also pre-inform them. Okay, you hold a meeting with them. I am going to renovate this property to meet modern needs, and once this is done, you can give them a digital picture of what this property is going to look like in the next few weeks or few months. And once I do this, I am increasing the rent on this property from so amount to so amount. So I want you to prepare ahead of time. So you prepare their minds. Once they see what you want to do, that may want them to want to pay. If they are not seeing it, they don't foresee that happening, they will not want to pay. But if they are seeing it and yet they are unwilling, you can adjust them and get new tenants into the property that can appreciate what you have invested in that property which you owe. So you must ensure that you renovate your property, ensure that they are up to date. There are persons who have houses that are like 19th century buildings. They still want to collect rent of 21st century, whereas their building that they owe is 19th century. So you bring your property up to date and you get up to date profit on that property as well. So another one we'll quickly look at is also redevelop to sell. There are persons who own property because of some damages that have happened to the property. Persons tend to price that particular property for undervalue. What can you do differently to ensure that you get the best value on that property? Is to redevelop that property. Just like those who do renovation, you can redevelop and restructure the property in such a way that it now gets a new look. When someone comes to that place, it will be the same as if it was built from the scratch again. There are certain things you can put in place and redevelop or restructure the building in such a way that when persons are coming into that property to purchase it, they will say, okay, this property is fair for this amount. Let's say, for instance, you have had persons who have come around to value your property for 20 million naira, and you believe that you can sell this property for up to 50 million, or let's say you can sell for up to 40 million, and you say, okay, what can I do? You get a team of advisors. They come around, they tell you, okay, this is what you can do. This is how you can structure or restructure the property to meet modern needs. And you can just invest 10 million naira in that property. You get extra amount, and that gives you negotiating power as well. If you have brought the property up to date, you will tend to make more profit, as you now have more strength when you are negotiating with parties who are interested in the purchase of that property which you owe. So in essence, what you can do to get that profit that you need on that your property is to ensure that you are always up to date with modern facilities on that property that you owe. If you have had just those who have one room, face me, I face you, you can also make adjustments to that. You can bring down some rooms, adjust them, and make them self-contained and all of that. When that's restructuring, you restructure the house, you redevelop the house, and when that happens, persons will be able to pay more and they will be willing. There are persons who are able to pay but they will not be willing because they are not going to get the value of that investment that they are making as tenants. And for those who want to purchase, the idea is that they are going to give it out to other persons as well. If they do not see the possibility of making their profits despite all their investment in that property, they may not purchase from you as well. So one way you can get everything done is restructure your property. Always renovate at any time that is required of you to do so, and also give out your property to renters. That's how far we can go for today. If you have any suggestions, you have comments, and you have questions, just drop them in the comment box and we'll attend to you. Join us on all our social media platform. Follow us where you need to follow, and you can send a message. We'll always be there to attend to your request. My name again is Destiny Unuate Ijibo. Thank you for being a part of today's session. See you next week.